2019 was a fantastic year for games. There were many fine releases, from the surreal and alien experience found in Control, with fun power-based gameplay, and a, quite frankly, bizarre story I'm certain I still haven't grasped, to my personal favourite chicken dinner simulator ever released, Apex Legends. I'm awful at it, but I like to invent my own games in the game, such as find as much crap as you can before you die, and point out as many Mozambiques as you can before you die.
Shield cell here. Mozambique here. Cancel that. Mozambique here.
Hang on, do you have a Mozambique?
Yes, 2019 had many great releases, but none for me top the game we're talking about today. Okay, one came really close, but that's a conversation for another day. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. The Dark Souls of games that are actually nothing like Dark Souls. Sorry, couldn't resist. I didn't just put that line in there for the meme value alone. I get so sick of Sekiro being compared to Dark Souls, honestly it's nothing like it. I mean, it's not the only game that gets this treatment, let's be fair. And I'll admit that Sekiro is a lot more like Souls than most other games that end up with this horrifying headline, seeing as it was made by the same company. But Sekiro is a game so good, it should not just be called Ninja Souls. It has a completely different name for a reason. It has its own identity, and as much as I love the Soulsborne games, I think Sekiro is better, and for me it's one of the best games ever made. I'm here today to explain why this game was the best game of 2019, and possibly the best game made by From. Controversial opinion. Look, I love Dark Souls and Bloodborne as much as the next guy, but something about this game is it just feels tailor-made for me. As much as I love the dark and depressing atmosphere of the Souls games, there's nothing in the Souls games that looks as beautiful as Sekiro does. Cherry blossoms, the pagodas, the colour. There's never been so much colour in a From game. So you've got to understand, I love the history of Japan. The Sengoku period is one of my favourite things I've ever learnt about. One of my favourite novels, in fact, is Shogun, which is about William Adams, an English sailor becoming a samurai, and helping with the unification of Japan. What's that? Neo? Never heard of it, mate. I want to start this review, / loving tribute to Sekiro, by summing up every start of every review I've seen for this game. As after reading about 15 of them, they all start roughly like this. Just get myself into character.
I sneak around upon the rooftops, stalking my prey. He hasn't noticed me yet. Good, I think to myself. I pull out my sword and jump from upon high onto my unsuspecting enemy, thrusting my sword into his chest and killing him instantly. I then turn and parry my next victim, leaving him open for me to plunge my sword into him also, ending his existence forever. This is the thrill of Sekiro.
Which is all well and good. That's a lovely bit of story building you got there. But if that was your first playthrough, you're talking absolute bullshit, mate. That did not happen. What actually happened is this. Parry, and then you die. However, then you resurrect. Isn't it great when a game's subtitle makes sense? You are a shinobi, so you're a shadow, and you can in fact die twice. Now that I'm alive again, have this, mate. Bang! Oh, this game is so easy. And that's the actual way you'll play Sekiro for the first few hours. Because this game is nothing like Dark Souls, and if you try and play it like Dark Souls, you're going to have a bad time. Now that we've got the obligatory intro out of the way, let's talk about the ways in which Sekiro does actually differentiate itself from the Souls games. From gameplay, mechanics, and the story. To start off with, Sekiro actually has a story. Like, it's got cutscenes and everything with dialogue, with actual characters, not just creepy NPCs that trail off into creepy laughter. As I said at the beginning of the review, it's very much its own beast. The game is all about getting in your opponent's face, giving them no breathing room at all, parrying and breaking your opponent's stance so you can deal a death blow. It is not about chipping away at health bars anymore, rolling around like you're a Sonic character that's just got set on fire. This change took me a long time to get accustomed to, as I have played many Soulsborne games and you just sort of fall into the rhythm of these things. But you've got to forget those rules that were drilled into you, as they just don't apply here. I remember when this moment finally clicked for me in my original run. It was about 3 boss fights in, and this samurai bastard called Genichiro was kicking my ass. I was getting through the game, parrying a fair amount, but in boss fights I'd still go back to dodging and running around quite a bit, which I could get away with the screamy bloke riding around on a horse.
My name is Kyobu Masataka Oniwa!
And the old pensioner I slapped about. But Genichiro, I'm certain, was designed in a way to punish these sorts of tactics. So after my 10th death to this git, I thought to myself, fuck it, I'm going to go all out attack and stay as close to him as possible, and just try and block the damage and parry as much as I possibly can. And it was on that attempt that I beat the boss. If you want to play Sekiro, then you need to play it on its terms. Fighting enemies by using a combination of stealthy, sometimes admittedly, cowardly, stealth kills, and then honourable straight up sword fights where you parry and block your way to victory. It turns out, Genichiro was the fitting boss to work this out, as the more you play the game and the more playthroughs you have, you'll realise that Genichiro is the benchmark throughout the game of your progress. At the start of the game, we are a broken man, sitting alone, defeated, and when we finally get up and decide to do something, Genichiro is our first real obstacle. He then reappears in the mid-game to make sure that we have learnt more since our first encounter, and finally, he is there once more in the final fight. This is ingenious design from From Software. We are developing our skills in conjunction with Sekiro. As he progressively becomes more capable, we are right there with him, getting better. Genichiro is our first boss fight within the opening hours of the game, and we don't stand a chance. Our next fight is a challenge, but we overcome him in the end, and the fight proves to us, and to Sekiro, that we have what it takes to see this out, and in the final fight, he's nothing but a speed bump on the way to the real final challenge, which we'll get to later. But for now, know that this is some of the best character building in any game for me. You really do feel how much more skilled Sekiro is from where he started, and all this without any RPG mechanics, as this is purely an action game. Being the sadist that I am, this was the experience I was looking forward to when Sekiro was announced, a game that doesn't hold my hand and makes me work for my victories. I'm not going to say that Sekiro isn't hard, or that you need to get good, because I'm not that much of a twat, although I'm sure my friends and family would definitely dispute that. It's just like everything you do in life, in that it takes practice to become proficient, or good. The combat is ball-bustingly hard. There was many a night where I'd feel overcome with frustration at playing the same fucking boss for the umpteenth fucking time. But then it's just like it all clicks. You hit your groove. Everything goes exactly right. And it's just like the weight of the world has been lifted from your shoulders. And you celebrate like you're an England fan during the World Cup and you just witnessed a victorious penalty shootout. Do you know how many times I've experienced that moment in my life? Once. In the 20 odd years on this earth I've experienced it once. But I can tell you now that it was a celebration the likes of which Kool and the gang couldn't even dream of. This moment is why I love the From Software games. Because they are challenging and difficult, but when you do finally overcome them, it feels like a victory and that you've actually accomplished something. Way too many games nowadays are basically a long checklist where you just tick off things so you can get +1 damage to all enemies holding ice creams, or +15 loudness to the bangs from your gun. Just a long slog of shit. Sorry, I don't know what that was all about. Which is why it's so nice to have Sekiro here reminding us that games should be games, not checklists. They should be fun to complete, and in the case of more challenging games, like Sekiro, more fun to overcome. Games are not just about grind, they should be about engaging the player from start to finish. Now so far it's been largely positive, but Sekiro is not without fault. For example, the new stealth mechanic is a great addition, and it really sells to you that you are a shinobi. You will do whatever it takes to win, including slicing people up when they're not looking. But it isn't a perfect implementation. Sometimes you think you're going to get a stealth kill, when in fact you're just going to smack him in the head and alert everyone in the vicinity to your location. And because the game has stealth, in my opinion, From got into some bad habits with enemy placement. So many mini-bosses in this game are just surrounded by a horde of minions, who are ready at a moment's notice to fuck up your day. You can usually get off one stealth kill before alerting everyone to your presence, because your shinobi friend over here can't help but make a massive song and dance out of the fact that it's just made some poor children out there fatherless. Seriously man, if you could not spray the blood of your enemies all over the place, that would be great. It's called a stealth kill, for Christ's sake. The game does have skills, to be fair, that you can upgrade to alleviate some of these issues, but a lot of these skills come much later in the game, and the stealth skills are much less useful and less cool than some of the new abilities you can get or prosthetic skills. For example, the prosthetic arm allows you to shoot flames, shoot shurikens that you can follow up with an amazingly satisfying and useful chasing strike, and you can spirit people away, whereas the sneak tree just lets you sneak around more quiet. Yeah, not riveting, is it? The main issue is that stealth killing is used in this game to thin out the herd. You pick a couple people off, and then you can, maybe take on the mini-boss that they surround him. But the way the areas are designed is that there's 8 dudes around, all wanting to acquaint you with the pointing of their swords, all next to each other. The combat system kind of falls apart here as it's much more suited to one-on-one combat. So, you have 2 options. Option 1, get off a stealth kill and then fucking leg it. Bolt it away and cry in a bush until the dramatic music stops, and then you can sneak back in for another stealth kill, rinse and repeat. Or, let the nice men teach you the Japanese word for death. Resurrect, and then let them teach you it again. Because you want to learn. This is a minor issue. As the more skills you get, and the better you get at the game, you can deal with these bigger groups of enemies easier. But in the early game, it's really tedious to deal with. There are other faults too, like wonky hitboxes, but what From game doesn't have that? And also, as much as the bosses in this game are incredible, some of them, well, a couple of them, could be better. There's a rematch boss fight which is just a bit boring. And it's a gank fight which emphasises the same issues as the Horde enemies do, in that this game is designed for one-on-one fights. Especially egregious with this boss fight is that it takes away from one of my favourite boss fights of the game. The Guardian 8 fight is incredible, and when you kill him, and you think you're done, and he gets back up as the Headless Ape, you're just sitting there like... ¿Qué? And you get wrecked. It's incredible. The rematch, though, is just 2 rounds of the Headless, with his wife turning up for round 2. I don't remember signing up for killing some ape's wife. She's done nothing to me. Why am I here? I mean, that's just nowhere near as good, is it? After the peak of having the enemy get back up and keep fighting you after he's died, to have him get up and limp on fighting you without a head for 2 more rounds, with 1 round where he brings his fucking wife in. I mean, it's just sad. It's a shame, as the first fight is a real wow moment in the game, and this was just a meh moment. But that isn't the worst one in this game. Oh no. I know this may be an exaggeration when I say this, but there is one fight in this game that I just cannot get over how much I hate. It's time I spoke about it now, as in my eyes this is one of the only things that holds this game back from perfection for me. If you disagree with me, that's absolutely fine, that is your opinion, and I'm not saying you're wrong. And maybe I do just need to get good. But in my opinion, this is the worst thing in the game. It's not even a massive thing, it's technically an optional boss. But it's optional in my opinion in the same way that completing the fucking game is optional. Let me set the scene. There's a character in this game called the Sculptor. You'll have grown fond of him throughout the game. He has 1 arm just like you, saves your life, fits your new arm, fits all the upgrades for your prosthetic. You even share a couple of cheeky drinks together. So when at the end of the game you go back to the Sculptor and see he's not there, you start to wonder where he could have gotten to. Either you're told by the nearby merchant that he ran off, or you just follow the flames. Fire is something the Sculptor mentions a lot. Every time he carves a Buddha, it is always one of wrath. You follow the flames, and they lead you to the demon of hatred. The demon is the Sculptor, and he is going to burn everything down to the ground unless you put him out of his misery. You tell me that's an optional boss fight. Leave your friend in absolute agony as a demon, burning things to the ground. I couldn't leave him there, even though I knew my subsequent playthroughs that I hated this fight. I still have to do it, because I cannot leave the Sculptor like that. And, if we're talking strictly about gameplay, I want to beat all the bosses that I can. But dear God, this boss fight does not belong in this game. To explain what I mean, remember earlier in the video where I was talking about how you can't just dodge in this game, you have to be aggressive, and how that you can't just keep running around? How I said you have to play by the rules Sekiro set before you? Be aggressive? Parry? Yeah. For this boss fight, fuck all that noise. You want to try and parry? Okay, have some chip damage. Oh, and have some fire build up too. What's that? You want to be up in my face? Okay, here's a fucking fireball. That one hits you. Every time. No matter how many fucking prayer beads you've got. These mechanics ruin this fight for me. The game is supposed to be about parrying, and when you add chip damage that also adds fire build-up, you cannot parry this fight, you have to dodge. Dodging is in the game, and dodging can be really useful, but when my main method of attack is sprinting away, jumping, and then running back in for a quick couple of hits, this just doesn't feel like Sekiro. The enemy health bar has been largely redundant. It's just there to give you an indication of how much life the boss has left in him. As the main bar you're looking at is the stance bar. You want to break their stance and get that death blow off. In this boss fight, that's not how it works. You'll definitely get that health bar down before you get the stance bar down. So my question is this: why is parrying out and dodging back in? Why am I sprinting around a massive arena? Why in the second to final boss have you thrown out the rulebook? I can't understate how poor I think this boss is. But I also can't understate how poor I think this boss is for this game. In the Souls game, he fits right in. But here he just feels wrong. His health bar is girthier than a fucking curly-whirly on steroids, and he has 3 of the fucking things. He just feels like a chore and not a challenge. This fight is one of the best in the game in terms of story, and one of the worst in terms of gameplay. And that's a shame. Luckily, however, this is not the final boss fight of the game. And if I have spoken about what is, in my opinion, the worst boss in this game, it's only now fair that I speak about the best Sekiro has to offer. A boss fight so good, it may be the best one I've ever played.
And in battle, the plans and desires of those involved churn endlessly. If you hesitate, you'll be swept away.
And lose the battle.
That's right. Best you keep it in mind. Sekiro, hesitate, and you lose.
Lord Ishin, a true warrior. You've seen him as an old man, and if you got the surer ending, because you're an awful human being, you have fought him as an old man too. But this fight's different. He has been resurrected in his prime by his adopted grandson to stop you and return Ashina to greatness.
In the end, I was powerless, but Ashina will rise once more. The dragon blood surging through her veins. With this, Ashina's long night comes to an end.
Pitiful grandchild. This was your last wish. To see Ashina returned from the great beyond. Which means Sekiro. I must destroy you.
He remembers who you are, but he is bound by honour to defeat you, and he does not hesitate. Hesitation is something Ishin bangs on about throughout the game, and even in this fight. When Genichiro is disposed of, the true fight begins. You cannot hesitate. You need to get in there and give it everything you have. Ishin, even in his first phase, is faster and stronger than any other person or beast in this game. And if you hesitate, he will put you in the ground. It is only by equaling him in his aggression that you'll overcome him. You need to use everything at your disposal in this fight. Parrying, Ikiri countering, jumping over slashes, skills, prosthetic skills. As if you don't, your health bar will disappear in a matter of seconds. Once down in phase 1, you've only pissed Ishin off too. This is where the real challenge begins. He now employs a spear that has insane range, as well as those quick slashes from before. You need your parrying to be perfect here, otherwise a couple of hits and you're done. Now if you're like me, an absolute coward, you're probably thinking running away would be a wise strategy here. But running is not an option. He will pepper you with bullets, and he is only marginally slower than you, so he's handing you down every step of the way. That long range spear also, good for catching you up. The problem is, running is the only way of getting some time to heal. So if you need to heal, you better be damn sure you have some impressive distance from him, because he makes up that ground quick, and he will dunk on you. If you do manage to get him down to his third phase, then he brings out the lightning of Tomoe, just like his grandson before him did. Ishin warned you earlier in the story that the Ashina way is to win by any means necessary. There are no rules, and Ishin will use every trick in his locker to defeat you. Ishin just feels like a true equal to you in every way. You have prosthetics and skills, and this is something most bosses in the game don't get, but Ishin feels like he has just as many tricks as you do. It's the ultimate way to end the game. A samurai who will do whatever it takes to win, and a shinobi who does not hesitate. The boss arena is beautiful, and although we've seen it already many times in this game, this feels like what it was all building up towards. This feels like the fight in the fields we deserve. This is where we have our lowest moment in losing our arm, but also our highest moment in defeating Ishin. And when you do finally put Ishin down for good, he congratulates you on your victory, and it truly feels like you have earned this moment. You've won. Seeing Ishin throughout the game and having him guide you in many areas makes this fight a fitting end to this superb video game. I could talk about this game all day. There's still lots of things I could talk about in fact, such as individual boss design, the enemy design being incredible and varied, the skill trees, and the abundance of prosthetic skills that you can use to help you get through this game. In fact, in my first playthrough, I barely even used prosthetic skills, because I'm an idiot. But once you start using these skills, you can see they are the optimal way of fighting certain enemies, and love that the game rewards you in trying these skills out, by showing you a new way to defeat an enemy you used to find difficult, but now can kill in 5 seconds flat. The level design of each area is incredible. Sekiro's grappling hook is great fun to use, and adds a lot of verticality to the levels. However, I do need to finish this review at some point. And I've covered how this game isn't a Souls game. The worst boss, the best boss, and some of the gameplay. And for me, I think that's enough. Look, I cannot recommend Sekiro enough. Even if you're not usually a fan of From games, please, if you are all interested, give Sekiro a try. If nothing else, this game shows Activision how good games can be if they just allow a developer to make a game they actually want to make, without any microtransaction, loot box bullshit attached. That alone is worth rewarding. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. An incredible game that I hope goes down as one of the best games of all time, as that is exactly what it is for me.
We must leave this place, my lord.